Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Going live today. I am waiting for my co-host to join. So, I'm going to be talking today about some of my photo shoots and going into more detail about my work. Hi Caleb, it's great to see you here. I can't wait to hear about your night last night. So I'll update you a little bit on what's going on in my world until my co-host joins, and hopefully more people will join in. So I'm back in Portland, which it's a lot of things. It's good to be back. It's great to be my co-host joined, so I'm just gonna add her really quick. It's great to be back home. It's great to be in my own space and back in my own bed. I was gone for a month and a half. Hi, how are
Hi,
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I love your beanie. I have the same color
Thank you.
beanie. It's one of my favorite
Really?
beanies.
It's
Yeah, let me
such a fun color.
see if I can get my face in here a little bit more. So I was just doing a little update that I will do while we're waiting for some people to join. Thanks for joining, Daniel. Hi, Blue-Eyed Devil. What's up? What's up, Nick? Hi. Thanks for joining. It's great to see your face here. So just a real quick update. So I've been traveling this summer. I traveled back to my hometown, to LA. I spent some time at Esalen and Big Sur. I had like the time of my life. So coming back home to reality is, I have to say, it's not easy. Mostly because when I was traveling, I was very in a very flowing, intuitive, magical world, which is what I realized is where I like to live my life. And when I got home, it was like back to reality, my job, my just the space that I was in. There was some substance abusers living in my space, so I had to get it cleaned, and I lost some of my fish because my fish tank was leaking. Anyways, I just came back to reality, and it's not always easy. Hey Tiffany, thanks for joining. It's good to see you here. Yeah, so before I left Portland, I put down an application for a retail space on Hawthorne, and they just barely got back to me that I didn't get it, and so I took it so hard, you guys. I think I spiraled a little bit because I was hoping to come home and get my shop off the ground, and it's hard being the little lady, because it went to a bigger company than mine, and it's just hard because it's like, how does the little guy get anywhere without anybody's help? So hi Megan, thanks for joining. So it looks like we have a lot of people joining. Thanks for the love, Megan. So should we get started?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
So, this week we're going to be talking about three of the shoots from the blog posts. So if you haven't been keeping up with those, be sure to check those out. And the images we're going to be talking about are also on the Instagram, so you can look there as well. But today we're going to be talking about the Brandswalk shoot, the Cassandra shoot, and the Courtney shoot. So, to get started, could you begin by talking about your purpose for each of these shoots?
Yeah, let's start with the first one. So Brandswalk is a really amazing brand in Los Angeles, and I was lucky enough to shoot some of their advertising stuff. They saw my work, they loved my personal work, and they wanted to do something like a spin-off of the models with our products naked in nature, which is, pretty edgy to do, but in LA, that's pretty normal. Edgy's normal. So we basically took their products out into nature and we just had fun with it. And we worked with some really amazing models. I had a great team. And of course, I love being outside, especially in LA because the weather's always amazing. And, it was challenging because I normally, when I go out and shoot my personal work, it's for me and I'm not having to think about other people. But when you have a client, you have to make sure that they're happy, the stylists are happy, everyone's happy. And, it's a lot of pressure. But in the end, it was really, really fun. And I feel like it turned out really great. They ended up using the photos in their shop to help advertise in their shop, and then had a billboard in downtown LA with the work. So it was a really rewarding experience. And I got to work with a few of my dear friends on the shoot. So, okay. And then what was the next shoot?
And
Was
if
it
you
with
want to go ahead and
Cassandra?
talk about the other two. Yeah. Yes, Cassandra and
Okay. So,
Courtney. So
okay. Yeah. So Cassandra, we shot out at one of my favorite beaches, El Matador Beach. It's in Malibu. And I don't know if you've been there. If you have, of course, you know, it's probably one of the most epic beaches in that area. Unfortunately, it's usually pretty crowded. A lot of photographers have kind of figured it out, especially like wedding and like portrait photographers go there a lot. And I worked with Cassandra. She's from an agency, top agency, and obviously she's absolutely beautiful. And it's just so fun working with that kind of talent. And I got to do the styling. I worked with one of my other friends who's also a stylist. Her name's Olivia. And we got between her clothing and my clothing from my shop, I came up with some really great outfits, which is one of my favorite things to do with photography, is doing the styling and the creative direction. And I obviously also did the photography. And it was just a fun shoot, you know, just to be out there. And like, it's just fun to also see like the attention that we get. I pretty much always make friends when I'm out shooting. I've made some of my favorite friends out shooting who are like, who are you? And what are you doing? And then they find me on Instagram, and we've been, you know, friends ever since. So, it was just, yeah, it was really great to work with her and just be in, like, obviously I'm a beach freak. So being at the beach and doing photography, of course, I was like in my bliss. So, and then Courtney. So Courtney was also from an agency. We were going for like kind of like an empowered, fit woman, athletic woman. And we were up in Topanga Canyon, which is also an amazing place. If I move back to California, I'll probably end up hopefully living in Topanga Canyon or somewhere in the Malibu Canyon area, because I just love that area, and I love my favorite surf spots right there. It's about, you know, 15-20 minutes from the area. So we did a short hike. Thank you so much, Gimmick Monster. I appreciate it. So we did a short hike, and we went out to this place that had a lot of graffiti on it. And it was a great overlook of like the Topanga Canyon. And we got to just be badass babes out there. She's obviously absolutely gorgeous, seeing the sunset there and making her work a little bit, making her sweat a little bit. It's just really fun to be in my element. And some of my friends showed up to help like carry some of the gear and stuff. So I just really appreciate all my friends who are always down to help out on my shoots.
awesome.
That's all of them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great.
Perfect. So, did you have full creative freedom styling these shoots? And what were some thoughts or ideas that influenced your styling decisions?
Yeah, so what usually happens is a client will send over like a Pinterest board, and then from there I will pull the looks. And so there is direction from the client, and then I will take it from there and I'll run with it. Hey Matt, thanks for joining. It's good to see your face here. So yeah, I'll take the Pinterest board and I'll run with it. I'm lucky that I have a shop, so I have so many clothes that it's pretty easy to pull any look. And it's just such my bliss. It's so fun. When you now make it like an editorial shot, you get to like push it over the edge than if you were just out in public wearing this outfit. You know, you wouldn't also layer all the weird sequins and put all the glitter on, and you know, it's always extra and over the top, which I really love. Sorry, what was your question? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, were there like any specific like thoughts or ideas that influenced these shoots particularly?
Okay, so with the Brandswalk, it was definitely like a connection with nature, but still being connected to technology. And what I loved about that is how that could look if we, you know, obviously are wearing no clothes, and how we actually are becoming technology, like almost like cyborgs, which is kind of fun, which I really believe that we might even see in our lifetime, with how technology is going and everything. It's probably going to be able to like, you know, make moves with our brain, you know, which is pretty freaking awesome, but, and also a tad bit scary, or a lot bit scary. So that was the Brandswalk kind of vibe. And then let's see, the athletic. So I'm sorry, you're gonna have to ask me these questions one at a time because
You're good.
I get a little overwhelmed. I'm obviously a little bit nervous to be live with everybody here. But so what's the next question?
Yeah, so the same sort of thing, just with the other two shoots. Was there like any specific like thoughts or ideas that were influencing your styling decisions?
Yeah, so I basically kind of talked about it, but with the athletic one, so with Courtney, she's basically like, she's like boxing up there and she's wearing her Nike stuff, you know, so we just wanted her to look like, you know, Rocky, you know, where she's just like, just looking really strong and powerful. There's a lot of leaps, so we really wanted her to look not only sexy and sweaty, but like super strong and powerful. And then with Cassandra, it was just like kind of beachy, kind of beach babe, but still kind of high fashion, which is obviously a lot of my style. So that was really fun because I got to really kind of, you know, infuse a lot of my own personal style into that one.
Super cool. Okay. So what was your criteria when location scouting for each of these shoots?
So with Brandswalk, we just wanted something really naturey, like a place you could imagine going camping, and a place where obviously you're gonna wear backpacks and have overlooks. And we just went to a place that was like within like a good driving distance from Los Angeles. With Cassandra, obviously I wanted to go to the beach, and I went to my favorite beach. So I had already known that it was going to be very romantic and very beautiful there. I didn't realize how populated the beach was going to be. So that is something to think about before you go shoot. And then with Topanga Canyon, I had spent a lot of time finding that location because I'd actually never been up to Topanga Canyon into this location. And so I'm getting a lot of texts, but so yeah, so that was really amazing to find that location because I was really specifically looking for a really great, powerful overlook that was within an easy drive for people in LA.
Cool. Did any challenges arise during any of these sessions, and how did you work around them?
Okay, so it's a good question. I think with the Brandswalk, since there was a lot of technology involved, there was a shot where she's laying and she's covered in phones. And like the phones kept falling, you know, like off of her breasts and like off of places, you know, and like she was kind of on a slant, so like could have gone, you know, down like, you know, like not like a cliff, but you know, so it's like getting like the product to stay exactly where you want it. There was also a male model who we had like kind of digital cords kind of going into the back and like on his neck. So it was just like more time and like being more precise and having a stylist who could help like keep those things while I was shooting. Hi, thanks for joining. So that was, you know, and also shooting outside naked isn't always easy. You know, you always have to be on the lookout, and you want to make sure your models are feeling comfortable and all of those things. So, hey, thanks for joining, Ian. It's great to see you here. So yeah, there's, you know, complications in that, but for the most part, had a pretty private area. And then complications. I think just the thing with Cassandra, it was mostly just like there was just so many people there just to make sure there wasn't anyone else in the shot and making sure she felt comfortable. I'd never worked with this model before. She was a little bit younger, you know, and a kind of a beginning model, but she did an amazing job. And then Courtney, I think the hardest part was just getting all the stuff down to the location. Like it's a hike in there, you know, so just making sure I had the support to like get all the gear in there, make sure so there was like a stylist and I think the model did her own makeup, but so just like getting in there and just like making sure we had everything and everyone was safe throughout a hike to get there. But once we got there, it was pretty awesome. The lighting was a little bit, you know, in LA during this time, it was very sunny. So, you know, just making sure you plan it right where you're not getting like crazy bright light and that you can make sure you set her up for the right lighting on her face and stuff like that. But it was, besides the hike in and getting in there, it was pretty free flowing.
That's good. So do you approach shoots for a company such as Brandswalk differently than when you're working more one-on-one with a client?
Absolutely. With Brandswalk, it was a big advertising campaign, so it's just a lot higher pressure. You want to make sure that everything's on point and everything's in its perfect place and you have a great team. If I say I'm just doing a portrait for, you know, a small business owner or something in their shop, it's just a lot easier. It's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, you do have to think about lighting and, you know, obviously there has a different set of complications, you know, but it's a lot easier to work out without a team. You know, you just go in there and you can shoot it. But those big advertising campaigns can be tough. And then talking about licensing and like leasing your work, all the, you know, there's just a lot of ins and outs that you have to like have in you know, in a contract and all that stuff. And I just like hate doing that stuff, but it's always pretty important to do.
Did you learn anything new about your creative process through working on any of these projects?
Hey Andy, thanks for saying hi. Let's see. I'm sorry, can you ask me again?
Yeah, no problem. Did you learn anything new about your creative process through working on any of these projects?
I mean, I think, you know, just the reminder that it's always a challenge, then there's always a different challenge and there's always something new to be learned. Every time I go out and shoot, I learn something new. And it's just always good to be pushing yourself and like doing new things and working with new people and just to continue collaborating. But just a reminder that, you know, you can do it. Like it's really scary and there's a lot of pressure and I'm not always second guessing myself, but I'm always just trying to make sure I'm nailing it and that it's looking great and it's all in camera, you know? And then as you're driving home, you're like, shit, I hope the lighting wasn't blown out there. You know, there's a moment where you're like second guessing, like, because, you know, you really have to work on the fly on some of these big advertising things. You're like working so fast that if you don't already innately know what you're doing, things can get lost. And I'm always very excited when I look at the pictures and I'm like, why do I second guess myself? I've been doing this for 25 years and I know what I'm doing and these look amazing. And usually like the first photo out of the camera, I'm like, oh, thank God, everything's fine, you know? But mostly that I'm dedicated to my craft and I'm always open to learning more.
Awesome. So before we move on to some audience questions, do you have any other comments or stories to share about any of these shoots?
Not that I can think of.
No worries, that's good.
And you can tell I really thought about it, so.
Yeah, so we have a couple questions that were sent in before, but if anybody wants to ask any questions, feel free to comment on here as well. But the first one was, which of these shoots was your favorite to work on?
I think the Courtney shoot. Hey Slugger, it's good to see you. I think the Courtney shoot was well, I also really like the Brandswalk shoot. The Brandswalk shoot was really awesome and I love combining I love that the client was inspired by my work to do an advertising campaign, which is really, really awesome. And one of my favorite shots is when they have the backpacks on and they're obviously naked and you can see their butts and they're just like standing looking over like the ledge. It's just like, it's pretty, I think it's a great photo. It just really just takes you there and you're like, oh, like the freedom of that, you know? But what I really loved about working with Courtney is going out into Topanga Canyon and hiking down there. Hey, thanks for joining. And just Topanga Canyon is just amazing. And the people that I was working with was really great. But I just love like the empowered woman vibe, you know, where she's just like, yeah, like kicking ass, you know, and it kind of like makes you feel like I'm kicking ass too, you know, and I want to kick more ass, you know. And it was just, yeah, that was just a really beautiful place to be.
Awesome. And the other question was, and you kind of went over this a little bit at the beginning, but do you have any travel updates since the last live stream? So that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I would love to continue more about that because I kind of stopped in the middle of that. But so yeah, I am back in Portland, which is really, you know, it's great to be back. It's great to feel grounded and to get grounded and to like be back in my shop and to keep continuing moving forward with my shop. It's been hard. I came back to a lot of hard things. I had a hard, hi Lola. I had the trip was pretty rough. Like I ended up, the Airbnb that I booked, I ended up getting in a crazy weird fight with the lady who owned it. And she like wouldn't let me stay there and I had nowhere to go. It was like a tiny bit traumatic, but I realized why it happened. And I'm really trying to get the silver linings out of the things that are hard. Like even last night, I went to the beach, my favorite beach, and I was by myself, and a guy was masturbating, like looking at me as he was walking by me with his pants down, and it kind of freaked me out because I was alone, and most of these times there's usually people around in public, and I'll usually like yell at somebody and like call them out. But this I didn't feel comfortable doing since I was by myself, and I ended up telling another woman who I saw who was also alone, like, hey, just so you know, there's a pervert on the loose. Like, keep your eyes out, maybe go home, and her and I ended up talking, and then we ended up going out and getting a drink, and now like I have another friend, so it's like, obviously it doesn't mean that it's okay for stuff like that to happen, but what I'm really trying to do in my life is to go, okay, that was hard, and why did that happen? And so with the Airbnb, it smelled like urine in there, and I sent the lady a message who owned the place, and I was like, it smells like urine, do you have another place I can stay, do you have like a spray, I don't know. And she came into the place and she was like, it doesn't smell in here. And I was just like, I don't know, lady, your nose doesn't work, like I don't know what to say. And then she's like, you can't stay here if you're gonna write me a bad review. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna write you a good review. Like, I don't, like I tried to let you help fix the situation. I feel like I'm doing you a favor. I could have stayed here and wrote you a bad review. I'm trying to let you fix the situation. Anyways, I ended up going to another place, another Airbnb, where the lady was like, made me tea and let me pick pears and was like so loving and caring. And the place just felt so much safer and smelled way better. And I just had a reminder that, maybe there was a reason why I got redirected by God or the universe or whatever you believe in. Maybe you don't believe in anything, which is cool. That's fine too. But I do believe that we are being, there is a flow. You can either take it or you can't, and that moment I chose to go with the flow, which is to get the hell out of that place. And, I'm just realizing that, you gotta, just to really learn and to move forward quickly, you got to take the learning and you got to move on, so it's been a lot since I've been back. I am kind of going back to my old ways, meaning like kind of going back into my, like, I like to isolate. I like to just be alone. I like to work, which is pretty much what I've done since I've gotten home. And it was a little bit the opposite when I was traveling. It was more like fun, and meeting people and surfing every day and sitting in a hot springs and going with my intuitive guidance system, and now I'm kind of just back in the automated, like, this is what I do. And I really had to stop and be like, okay, remember, like, you went on this amazing adventure and journey. We need to bring this back into right now. And we need to keep believing. I was meditating almost felt like 24/7. Sometimes I was in like this active meditation just because of the nature of where I was, which was at a spiritual retreat center, and so just to be back home and be like, okay, let's get back into that space. Like, just because you are home doesn't mean you need to go back into your old ways. Like, let's keep creating new ways. And maybe there's a reason why I didn't get the space on Hawthorne, like, let's try to keep being positive and try to stay in this up-leveled space that I've been in throughout my trip. And, it's reality sucks, literally. Like, I could go on and on about how hard all the, like, my fish tank linking and like losing my fish as soon as I get back and like not getting the space. I was just like hit by a lot of things that I had a lot of high hopes for. And then just going, okay, well, maybe I'm going to be redirected to a better space or a better town that's maybe a better fit for me energetically or whatever. It's just really hard to stay in that like elevated, like spiritual space. So that's been a little bit of my growing pains since I've been back.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we end the live stream?
Yeah, the weather in Portland is absolutely beautiful right now, so it is a good time to be back. And I am super scared about the rainy season that's coming in. But I do want to say thank you to all my friends, all the amazing people who helped me on my journey, all my friends who came out to see me, support me, all my friends who are helping out, who have helped donate to my fundraiser, who have bought my work, who have helped me kind of just get back home. A bunch of friends bought photo shoots for me, and I just really appreciate you all helping me go on that amazing spiritual journey. I have expanded so much. Like coming home, I was like, I'm not even the same person, you know? And then I wake up and I'm like, I'm still the same person. I want to be back to the other person. But I just appreciate you all. And I just want to say thank you to Alyssa. Thank you so much for all your hard work on the weekly, on the daily. You rock so much. And all my team, you guys are so great. There is actually some openings right now on my team, some internship openings. It is unpaid positions. However, it is great for your resume and to learn a lot if you want to know about owning a small business, photography, anything styling, fashion related. We do have some openings, and we are looking for some people to join our team, so it's a great time. And yeah, I hope you guys all have a really great holiday, and thank you so much for taking the time to hear about what's going on in my world. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please DM me, and also follow my personal page, Teresa Flowers, if you want more behind the scenes, more stories, like hearing about my experience last night out at the river. You know, it's just a good way to just kind of stay in touch. So I appreciate you all. And we do this every week. So Sundays at noon, we do live streams. If there's anything else you want to see from us, some content, any questions, like I just love hearing from you all. So thank you. And I'll see you all soon. Thanks, Lissa.
Bye.